New World Order, you underestimated the people. You took a gamble and you lost.
Okay, we don't like this. Okay, well then we're going to do this. And that is just how it's going to be.
Evidence brought to light that there is a corrupt officer, or that officer did shoot that kid on purpose.
I don't care how I look, I don't care how I sound, I don't care what the beat is. I just care the message gets across.
What's up, everyone? This is Tin Man with the Resistance.
And I'm Lucid.
Happy fucking New Year, you sons of bitches! You're watching this, you are the Resistance, and welcome to 2016, our first weekly report broadcast of the year. We got Chris Cardillo running around in the background.
He'll probably end up saying some smart-ass shit off camera.
Yep. Never! Because that's all I know.
Funny enough, I know there's no such thing, but funny enough, we ended up with a leftover beer from the year.
How the hell does that happen with us?
Well, when you have overabundance of beer and too many drunk people and people have to drive home and, you know, it just goes to show that sometimes you have to sober up. Unfortunately, but here's to New Year.
Oh, let's do it to it. Okay, so we're going to get back to tradition with our top 4 stories. Lucid, why don't you go ahead and kick it off?
Alright, we got 4 stories here. We got Sandy Candy added a new video. Oh wait, that's
No, I want to hear about that one.
We got Saudi Arabia cuts ties with Iran. We have the looming environmental disaster in Missouri that nobody's talking about. Armed militia members arrived to Oregon, set base in National Park. I heard about that one. I read on that one a little bit. And liberal media tweets call for National Guard cops to confront Malheur wildlife refugee occupiers. So we'll just start with the Saudi Arabia cuts off diplomatic ties. And while this loads here, I'm going to throw this gauze out because it's disgusting.
Gross!
I have a bad tooth. I'm scheduled to have it pulled on the 6th. So... but in the meantime, it's just bleeding and bleeding and hurting and bleeding and fucking bleeding. It's like a bitch on her period. It bleeds, but it doesn't die.
And people say that sodium chloride is good for your teeth. This motherfucker brushes his teeth every day. I brush my teeth every day. Our teeth are shit.
I brush my teeth twice a day. Actually, I brush it in the morning and at night before I go to bed. In fact, at night before you go to bed is more important because you have all that shit that sits on there, you know, for 12 hours straight while you sleep.
Well, it's obviously not doing you any good.
Anyway, Saudi Arabia has cut diplomatic ties with Iran over the storming of its embassy in Tehran on Saturday. The move comes while relations between the regional rivals are plunging over execution of a top Shiite cleric. It's all Shiite, if you ask me. Speaking at a press conference on Sunday, Foreign Minister Adel Al-Jubeir demanded that Iranian diplomatic mission and related entities leave the country within 48 hours. He said that however you pronounce that, Riyadh, Riyadh, would not allow the Islamic Republic to undermine the Sunni kingdom's security. Jubeir claimed that the Tehran attack was similar to what he called earlier Iranian assaults on foreign embassies there, accusing Iran of creating terrorist cells inside of Saudi Arabia.
So basically Saudi Arabia saying, get the fuck out.
Right. They're cutting ties with them. The kingdom, in light of these realities, announces the cutting of diplomatic relations with Iran and requests the departure of delegates and diplomatic missions of the embassy and consulate and offices related to it within 48 hours. The ambassador has been summoned to notify him, the foreign minister said. So basically, the Saudi Arabia diplomats were evacuated from Tehran following Saturday night's attack. They have arrived in Dubai en route to Saudi Arabia, Al Arabiya reported.
Fun.
It comes after, it goes on and on and on and on. I'm just going to kind of paraphrase here.
And yet they get on Donald Trump for saying that we shouldn't allow any more Muslims into our country, yet these people are kicking out motherfuckers left and right. It's like, we don't want you here. Get the fuck out. They're not just saying, hey, no more people coming in. They're saying, get the fuck out.
On top of no more people coming in.
Yeah. Yet Donald Trump got shit because he said, don't allow any more in until we sort this mess out.
Right.
Can we say double standards?
Yeah. And the thing about it is, too, is that Donald Trump isn't saying that everybody needs to leave. He's saying just don't allow any more people in. Which actually, in all reality, will keep Obama's Amnesty Act for illegals in act, but, cock block everybody else who wants a piece of the American dream to come in, not allowing them to come in. And just in my opinion, people, not everybody deserves the American dream. Not everybody's going to get one. We just are fortunate enough for the people who are watching this in the United States. We're just fortunate enough to have been born in the United States and, are eligible to have a part of that American dream and the little bit of freedom that we have left.
Right.
Anyway, I'll let you read this one. The looming environmental disaster in Missouri.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about this. Let's see. What happens when radioactive bioproduct from the Manhattan Project comes into contact with an underground fire at a landfill? Surprisingly, no one actually knows for sure, but residents of Bridgeton, Missouri, near Westlake and
Bridgeton landfills.
He's distracting me. Bridgeton landfills, just northwest of St. Louis International Airport, may find out sooner than they'd like. So, going on here. And that conundrum isn't the only issue for the area. Contradicting reports from both the government and the landfill's responsible parties, radioactive contamination is actively leaking into surrounding populated areas from Westlake, and likely has been for the past 42 years.
So basically, they've never cleaned up the Manhattan Project, and shit's starting to affect people.
Yeah.
The population around there.
Way to go, dumbasses! Seriously.
There was, I know that there was several things back in the day, the whole Barstow, Aaron Brockovich thing with the water supply being contaminated from
radioactive
sources. That Edison was creating back in the day, or not Edison. It was a
power plant thing, wasn't it?
It was but it was General Electric, I think, is what it was. They weren't disposing of their toxic waste because there was no laws back then to dispose of it, and they were just putting in like swimming pools, that just were able to leak and stuff like that, basically in a field somewhere, and shit was leaking into their drinking water and their wells, causing people to get cancer and stuff like that. My wife's grandmother was actually got a settlement on the Aaron Brockovich case because she lived in Barstow at the time, and she got quite a bit of money. I want to say somewhere around the area of like $12,000.
Bad, Chris.
Something like that. But
fucking with my
Oh, I touched it?
Yeah, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyway, technical
I was trying to
difficulties.
sabotage it, sorry.
Technical difficulties.
Go away.
Anyway, we're moving on now to the militia members arrived in Oregon, set base in National Park. Opening that up right now, if it'll open. There we go.
Open. Don't keep them borders open.
Now I haven't been stating the websites because we haven't closed the fucking borders today. But I haven't been stating the websites I've been getting this stuff from. So I'm just gonna stick with that. You guys can look this stuff up on your own, pick whatever website you deem worthy to, look up information. If these fucking pop-ups would stop. Okay. Armed militia members arrived in Oregon, set up base at National Park. Approximately 150 armed militia members, along with Ammon Bundy and two of his brothers, Ryan and Mel, have peacefully occupied the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge in Oregon to use as their headquarters. They are inviting more armed patriots to join them and mention that they have warm lodging. The militia occupation occurred after this afternoon's protest that drew a crowd of over 300 participants.
Nice.
This is the beginning of the armed standoff with the BLM that has come in and weakened Harney County. As we reported yesterday, the protest is centered around the Hammond family, who have been victimized. Militia member Blaine Cooper compares an overreaching government to the bullies in school, and it adamantly states in the video, until that line is drawn to say we've had enough of this tyranny, you are not going to leave us alone, it will not change. It does not have to stop here. This could be the hope that spreads throughout the whole country. The whole United States. Everybody is looking at this hope because the government has beat us, oppressed us, and took everything from us, and they will not stop until we say no. Ammon Bundy leads off the video with, we are going to be freeing these lands up and getting ranchers back to ranching, getting the lodgers back to lodging, and getting the miners back to mining, where they can do it under the protection of the people and not be afraid of this tyranny that has been set upon them. This might just be the start of America awakening with the way that it should be, the way that it was designed by our founders. The militia is not mentioned in the Constitution, not the BLM or state nor police state. We the people is the best solution to hack away these long totalitarian tentacles that the federal government extends into the lives of the people that they serve. We've said this from the gate. Now, we're not in any position to occupy or take back any land, because first off, we're not completely armed to do so. But
we're armed, just not that armed.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We're not completely armed enough to do that kind of work. But these people are taking over the government, it even says in the Constitution, it is our duty and our right not only is it our right, but it is our duty to take back a tyrannical government and reset it back to basics. So, I don't really have any more thoughts on that. I agree 100% with what they're doing, and I hope that that's really what they're doing. And if that's the case, then fuck yeah, dude. Handle it.
Okay. Is that the last story?
It's coming up right now, it's loaded.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I hit backpack.
It's all good.
Nope, it's good. Liberal media tweet calls for National Guard cops to confront Mueller wildfire refugee occupiers. And this is on InfoWars, in case you're wondering. Marshall, RT, and others say the lack of law enforcement and media response less than 24 hours after the occupation of the Mueller wildfire refuge has angered some...
Malheur, just so you know.
Malheur, thank you. Has angered some who hope for a harsher response and tone. And going down here, shit ton of images. The lack of strident response has naturally led to accusations of terrorism by those online who see Bundy's actions as unlawful, to put it mildly. Those people also believe it's...
This is kind of in correspondence to what I just read the past article. So it seems.
Yeah. So
it's basically tweets on...
Basically what it seems to me is that some people are saying that this is an act of terrorism. But it's fucking stupid. So the government's going to send in forces to keep things under control.
Well, I'll tell you what. These veterans who are occupying the national park in Oregon are within their legal rights.
Yep.
And they're not going to give up without a fight. And I'll tell you what, I got 100% faith in these guys to peacefully diffuse the situation under the pretext that, they're following laws and stuff like that. Hopefully that's the case. If not, and they're not peacefully doing this, then they need to give up and just hand over their weapons, because that's exactly what the government is doing to us now, is that they're forcing us to do stuff under duress And what we need is a peaceful delegation solution to this whole damn problem that's being done here. Now, I'm not saying that peaceful solution is the answer, but I'm saying it is the better of answers that we have available to us at this time.
Yep. Peaceful resistance is key to a peaceful victory, right?
That's absolutely right.
Kick some ass if it comes down to it. Anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and cut this break. We've already covered our stories.
And we'll be back with the main debate.
Hello, YouTube Universe. This is good old MS Revan. Are you looking for daily, unbiased political videos? Come check out my channel at youtube.com/GrandmasterRevan, or you can find me in the featured activist section on the Worldwide Resistant Networks channel at youtube.com/Resistance2058. Remember, knowledge is free.
I want to talk a little bit about how America is becoming a modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah in some aspects. We are losing our morals and ethics in the United States. If you tune into the History Channel, they got Larry the Cable Guy telling penis and fart jokes to Cub Scouts. If you tune into Discovery Channel, they're teaching your children how we originated from aquatic mermaids. I didn't tune in to Fox News to hear about Kim Kardashian's ass cheek implants. There is a Beavis and Butthead mentality going about in this country, and it's contagious.
I look at each of you, and I see the marks of this long and terrible war. If we die tonight, mankind dies with us.
You're doing right now. This is the end of the war.
I can't come on cue.
I saw two birds fucking!
Start.
I got a boner! My balls itch! I got arrested! For sticking my dick in a toaster!
And we are back for commercial with our weekly report. Now we head into our main debate. If this
I have nothing to say about Mr. Eagles, that's all I'm saying.
No. Nothing. There's nothing to say about it. He's a sick fuck. But, speaking of sick fucks, you know, I want to talk about something. With the legalization of gay marriage and everything, is it going to wind up being the case that all taboos wind up getting made legal eventually?
Well, considering gay has been a socially acceptable thing for a while now, I don't think it's actually considered a taboo. Maybe to religion, in a religious aspect, it's considered taboo. Yeah. But as far as social acceptance is concerned, it's not actually considered a taboo. In fact, it's actually kind of the trendy thing to be now as gay or metro or what have you.
Well, the reason I bring it up, and I'm glad that you mentioned the religious aspect of things, because the reason I bring this up, because last night I was watching a video. The Satanic Church had their first ritual the other night. They did their thing, and there was this huge speech given where they were really emphasizing sexual freedom in all aspects. They didn't go into any details. They mainly focused on homosexuality. And they even had two guys kissing at the end of their little spiel. But it has to be asked, especially considering with the LDS Church and others becoming socially acceptable of what even the religion would consider taboo, or at least from a Christian standpoint, a taboo. And society as a whole, not just the United States, but in other countries, becoming so laxed on these issues, how much longer until things like incest and bestiality and shit like that actually become legal and morally acceptable?
As far as morally acceptable, I don't think any of these things are morally acceptable. In my opinion. This is my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. Freedom of speech, motherfucker. Fuck you. Shoot a cop in the face. Fuck them, too. But as far as freedom of speech is concerned, you know, and my standpoint on things, I don't think that that it's morally acceptable on any front as far as gays and what have you, bestiality and, you know, stuff like that are concerned, you know. Yeah, in fact, just to state my rights real quick, Chris Cardella has the First Amendment rights here. I just want to state this so that way there's no fucking oppression being done here. It's all freedom of speech. The First Amendment rights state, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech of or the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition government for a redress of grievances. That's kind of what the guys in Oregon are doing. They're peacefully, but forcefully, you know, are standing their ground.
You have the right to assemble.
Right. You have the right to assemble, exactly. You have the right to speak your mind and share your opinion. So, based on that right, this is my opinion. And, like I said, morally standpoint, I mean, as far as my religion is concerned, God didn't put us on this earth to be boy lovers or, you know, gay or lesbian or anything like that. But, you know, it's socially acceptable, but not religiously acceptable, which is why probably these gay couples and these other things are Satanists. Yeah. You know, because they're accepted by that religion. And what have you.
Well, I know the Southern Baptists are going pro-gay in a lot of respects. Like, there's a few congregations being set up exclusively for...
Well, that makes them not true believers in Christ, then.
Yeah,
just saying.
It's kind of a double standard, and the taboo is getting whitewashed and becoming more socially acceptable. I mean, if you really look at it and pay attention online, doing the research, like we've covered a few stories in the past, where things that are heinously evil...
Like the thing in Germany?
Yes, yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Are becoming socially acceptable. And in many regions, things like freaking incest and bestiality are actually legal.
Well, there's no laws against it making it legal. It's not that it's legal, it's just that there's no laws against it.
Yeah, there's no laws against it, and in many respects, it is socially acceptable. And that's becoming the case in at least the mainstream aspect
like that
things.
Indian chick who married the dog.
Yeah, you see that, and then if you go online, you could search. Yes. And I've researched this quite extensively. I've seen videos on YouTube and other forums where people are getting more and more interested in these topics, and things like incest and bestiality particularly are becoming more and more popular on porn sites. Now, bestiality is still
So
illegal.
you've researched these porn sites?
No, I'm not. I'm merely noting the statistics.
I'll just give you a hard time.
I
gotta bust your ass here.
I know. No, I'm merely pointing out the statistics. Like in the porn world, especially, incest and bestiality are becoming widely popular in the porn world. So being that it's gradually becoming more and more socially acceptable, whether you agree with that on a personal level or not, how much longer until one or the other, if not both, are eventually legalized and just there is no boundary anymore?
Well, as far as things have progressed so far, you can probably theorize that eventually they will be legal and socially acceptable, because of the rights and activism in the gay community. You know, eventually you're going to have bestiality community, you're going to have incestual communities, and these people are going to fight for their rights to be adults and to have incestual and bestiality type relations. And at some point in time, I mean, how does that work though? I mean, you own a cat or a dog or a horse or a pig or whatever it is you like to fuck. Okay, you own them. Okay. Then you're having a relationship with them, whether it's sexual or not, and then you're also taking it to the next step where you can actually marry them. Does that give them rights as human beings? Like, does that give them humanitarian rights? Like, rights of property? I mean, they're property themselves, so how can they have rights?
Yeah, as long as they're paying taxes.
Right? Exactly.
Well, how would a dog pay taxes? Oh, that's weird. As far as like bestiality is concerned, I think it would probably be chopped up to a property issue, and you can pretty much do whatever you want with
your property. Exactly.
So long as no harm is coming to the animal.
Well, how do you? Oh, okay, then you can argue the fact. How do you know that the animal wants that?
Well, I've always looked at it if
especially if you're a male.
If your dog humped your leg, he obviously wants it. So,
well,
now we're talking funny farm,
right? Hey. What I'm getting at is like, because you could chalk it up to male animals. You could say, oh, well, they were horny by humping my leg and they were asking for it. Well, that's one way to chalk that up. But a female animal doesn't have a way to really show that they're horny or want it. So how can a male human being justify their sexual relations with a female animal at that point? Because there's no way of telling. What? You speak cow?
Moo.
You know what I'm saying?
Wait, that was chicken. Chicken say moo. That would eventually become a property rights versus animal rights issue, in my opinion. But as far as, the legality,
it's a new industry.
it is an industry. It's apparently, as far as a lot of these statistics show, it's a very popular industry.
It's commerce.
Yeah, and so is incest and things like tentacle porn and furries and shit like that. You
or scat porn, or what have you.
Yeah,
smut.
I stand my ground. What's wrong with a man and a woman just getting it on? Why do you need to get into all these other aspects? It's insanely ridiculous.
It's because people are sexually insatiable, and I will have to say, not to those levels, but I am sexually insatiable. I really am, dude. My wife kicks me out of the room, and
something else to fuck.
Gives me reasons to be out of the room.
That's too far.
And me personally, I want to spend 80% of my day in the bedroom. Aside from eating, going to the bathroom, and brushing my teeth, I want to be fucking, dude. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, but you're content with just fucking your wife,
right?
Whereas other people are into these extreme taboos, and
yeah, I don't want nobody shitting on my chest. Okay, you can keep that shit to yourself. You can go do that in the bathroom, or dig a hole out back. I don't give a fuck. Just leave that shit away from me.
Exactly. You know, it's not exactly our cup of tea, but there are people out there.
Moose piss.
Wow, this isn't even a debate. It's just kind of like a fun bullshit thing.
Sounds like Bill Maher to me.
Well, Chris, you work in the entertainment industry on a higher level.
Who told you that?
You did.
Oh,
Yeah. You told us all about your
Okay.
connections.
all right.
You've
Half
seen
out
how
of the bag.
you seen how the mainstream glorifies things. What is your standpoint on it? Is it really as popular with society as it's being led to believe?
Yeah, as the statistics are saying.
You know what? That's a awesome question because I do have a great answer for that. And really, it just, I pretty much know the essence of where the direction you're going. I think that, no, it's not in mainstream society. No, it's not acceptable in society. It's called creating a sensation and ratings. And people jump
Shock
on
factor,
ratings.
right?
Shock value,
Right.
absolutely. Where people are like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Cats and dogs are sleeping together.
I'll tell you
know?
what. I'll tell you what, man. There was a video that came out quite a few years ago called Two Girls in One Cup. Okay, and that was about two girls getting it on. The beginning of the video was great. They were steamy. It was them macking down, feeling on each other. And then all of a sudden they're shitting in cups, drinking it and eating it and licking it like ice cream. I mean, I'm sure to some extent it was ice cream. It was like chocolate ice cream because the way that it poured into the cup was just unbelievably fucking smooth, organized and smooth. And the consistency was very smooth texture. So I'm assuming it was ice cream, but the shock factor of it all, it went viral in less than 24 hours. Millions of people saw that video.
Well, if you go back and you look at The Exorcist, just jumping, similar in some natures, but people were having heart attacks and throwing up in the theaters. Now people watch it and go, let me have another hot dog.
Right.
It's nothing to them. They've become desensitized.
Right.
So
Desensitization
Yes.
has been a big factor
That's it.
in the new
Degradation.
turning point of these taboos becoming
Yes.
legalized and whatnot.
Yeah, because you have people.
Craving more shock factor because
Yeah.
the shock factor is gone from everyday nowadays.
Right.
Well, not just that, but you get desensitized to this, and then it
What's the
becomes
next normal.
the norm,
It's
and then it becomes
conditioning.
a desirable thing.
Right.
It's, conditioning because
There was even, and I'm
Absolutely.
sorry to interrupt you, Chris.
Yeah.
There was even a statistic brought up. I don't know what the numbers exactly were, but anal licking and booty eating or whatever you want to talk about has been socially
Watch it.
acceptable and stuff like that because of the whole aspect of it being said in songs so much, it being a kind of a taboo porn, and more people are watching it because of the shock factor and the arousal interest that these people may have in the deepest, darkest recesses of their minds.
Everybody has
become-
carnal desires to one level or another.
I think the number was somewhere around 80% of people are socially more acceptable of anal play than they were 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, I've actually seen this meme on Facebook several times, and it's a statistic. X amount of percent professed committing incest, whether with a sibling or other relative. Others profess to masturbation. Others profess to bestiality. Profess to homosexuality. Have sex with a teacher, or this or that. A lot of these things are actually really popular by statistic. And again, Chris, going back to the question I asked you, things like this are widely popular in the porn industry. You have movies being produced by even major companies, bestiality films, incest roleplay films, among other things.
It's one of the biggest industries.
Those things are very popular.
Yeah.
Would you deny that?
No,
That's the case?
not at all. If you go back throughout society, and also back in time and history. You go back, what they do now, if you look at it more modern civilization, you got the psychedelic schizophrenia going on, people dropping acid, ecstasy, they're doing everything at a concert, and so you're under that power of that influence and sexual. Sigmund Freud, he was obsessed with sex, so sex is part of our, natural chakra. It's part of everything, essence, our spirituality, everything about us.
And it's integrated in our culture.
And you go back in time to all the other civilizations, and you can see they did the Romans used to have this high priestess that would, at certain times of the year, based on a pagan religion, they would go and they were prostitutes of the church, if you will, and they were priestess, and they would send them out and just, amazingly groomed the Roman culture. The average Roman was pretty all right, but a lot of them weren't. So they would throw themselves, and it was their time where they could have their way with these beautiful, 16, 17, 15, 14-year-old, 18 young priestesses.
You see it in the movie 300, where
I was actually just thinking of that.
There's a quote-unquote oracle that is actually a sexually desired icon in that movie, and they base their strategic tactics based on what she says and what she does, and they portray her as this big sexual object in this movie, and it even says in the movie that only the most beautiful women were chosen to be oracles for that reason.
That's right.
Yeah, and the
seduction.
And even in
Ultimate
the
seduction.
300 series, both of them,
yes,
they were very pro-incest in that movie. The guys on the hill, whatever the fuck they were products of incest.
Yeah.
Right. The chick in the second 300 movie.
The bloodlines.
Right.
Yeah, that
the
big
god,
one in the second
god.
300 movie.
The Olympians.
She killed her own brother after macking him down.
Yeah.
Right.
She macks him down at the beginning of the fucking movie.
Right.
Says, "I love you, brother." Macks him down and slits his fucking throat.
Even in the movie about Rome, about Caesar and Cleopatra, and he goes in and slaughters her competition, basically, and gives her the throne. So sex has been Isis, the god Isis, and you go back all these different. You can go back to many forms of religion have their fertility gods, but Wicca, some of them sacrifice people. You go back to the Hawaiians.
I don't know, you might piss off the Wiccans with that one.
Yeah, and so that's our mascot on camera.
This is Sabrina.
Sabrina Fireball. She wanted to be in the shot.
She's an attention whore.
She's purring. She doesn't want to be up here, but she's purring. She likes it.
She
likes it. She likes
Bestiality, ladies and gentlemen.
I guess
there it is, bestiality.
Exactly. I guess if the cat is purring, she wants it.
Well, I would say it's a good omen.
And I guess it on a verbal standpoint and words, pussy's pussy. So, all right.
Well,
it sounds like a rap song to me.
Right.
Getting back to the bestiality aspect, we covered the legalities, how it would probably be a property versus animal rights issue. Well, what about incest?
I have another point to say.
Okay, I'll get to mine.
But it goes with what you're saying. It's whatever feels good, do it.
Right. Which is
we know what your standpoint is.
Which is a selfish.
It's not my saying.
Which is a selfish. Is a selfish thing.
Yeah, it's basically what we're talking. Okay, existentialism. There's no absolute right or wrong.
Right.
That's politically correct.
Right. Unfortunately.
There you go.
Unfortunately.
There you go. So what's good for you is good for him.
Right. The base argument.
So if you want to screw a cat, but he doesn't want to do it.
Well, what it will eventually come down to is the same legalities that won the homosexual community their rights. And, those could be applied to any sexual situation.
It would be minimal
legal
in comparison,
or illegal.
right?
And the whole reason incest is illegal is because
of deformity and genetic mutation.
Yeah, but then it can be those same rights for homosexuals can be used in the incest realm of things as well. So, plus you have the issue of deformities happening via other circumstances, whether two
incompatibly DNA type people.
But yeah, incompatible DNA, or even two people who suffer deformities or some form of quote retardation. No offense to anybody.
Right.
Down syndrome is the politically correct thing to say.
Yeah. If two people from those categories breed, it's
which can be healed.
It's socially acceptable, so that could be argued.
Right. And like you were saying, the laws and arguments that are respected of the gays, whether you're homosexual or lesbian, could be argued with incestual people too. There's two consenting adults. Yeah, or transgender. It's two consensual adults consenting to having sex. Whether it's a dad and a daughter, or a mom and a son, or brother and sister, and cousins, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You were talking about church and state, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Well,
kinda.
I'm actually going to get to that.
You got the religion side that's against what you just said.
Right.
The state side is just purely law.
Right. It's just whatever the law says.
But we're founded on God principles, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to bring that up in a minute. I'm glad you brought that up. But before we get into that, back to the deformity issue. If incest were to be legalized, would it be a prerequisite in the law that one or both parties had to be fixed, so that they could not bear children?
That's going against their rights then
Exactly.
too, because what if they want to procreate?
Yeah.
Right.
So would it
Down the road.
So would it have to be this is legal regardless of the consequences?
Yes.
That would be
Yes.
the pretext, yes.
Yes.
And what is the likelihood of that to happen?
Not very likely.
No.
I don't see it happening. Not in my lifetime.
Right.
Not in my
agree.
lifetime. I don't see it happening.
Right.
I
many
think a
strange
lot.
things have happened, and the reason I have to bring it up is because it's eventually going to become an
it's
issue,
possible.
especially with the growing popularity of these taboos.
You're right. There's a distinct possibility because it could be pushed through exponentially only under the guise of the fact of our erosion of everything, and people are kind of free for all.
And the way they twist
and commerce and money.
Yeah, and it already happens anyway.
It does eventually.
It does. I mean,
it does.
You hear about it all the time.
Yes.
People getting put on trial for having incestuous relationships, and there's even speculation that some of these incest videos online are actual incest.
If you took cases from 100 years ago, and you tried them today, all those people 100 years ago would be free.
Right.
Yeah. Well, especially with the free media.
So have we evolved?
Well, evolving or de-evolving,
Are
or
we more
rising,
civilized?
or lowering
tolerant?
our acceptance or moral standards
Tolerant.
is a matter of opinion. And
If we
it's
go
subjective.
extreme tolerant, what's the outcome of the extreme tolerant? If we let people do whatever they want to do, what happens then? Chaos?
Well, it becomes anarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people, especially in the activist community, would like to see an anarchist society in place of government, rather than government telling you what's right and what's wrong. People governing themselves, deciding what is right and what is wrong.
Well, technically speaking, that's what our Constitution was founded on, that we would be governing ourselves, and but we would vote in laws to keep each other safe and protect our freedoms and stuff like that. People have to follow a certain set of rules, no matter if it's an anarchist state or a diplomatic state of things. You have to take into consideration that these are all based on law type principles. Yeah. I mean, whether you're following laws or not following laws, it's a law to follow or not to follow law.
Well, in the aspect of law, and I want to get to his point on religion, a law requires that there's a victim, a party, and
that's crime
and circumstance, and any crime perpetrated has to have a victim. And cases of, quote, sexual misconduct or immorality, aside from rape.
I need to straighten something out real quick, Chris, with what you said. A law is based on the outcome of a crime that has been taken to court. And
Adjudicated.
It's been adjudicated. Okay, it's been taken through the system because somebody was wronged, and so now a new law is in order so that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
A crime has a victim, not a law.
Yeah.
A law has the outcome of a crime.
I used the wrong one.
Right. I just wanted to straighten
We
that
understand.
out.
So
We just wanted to clarify.
Right.
Yeah, so a crime has to have a victim. So in a sense, it could be argued that two consenting parties would not be in violation of the law, being that no crime has been committed.
In an anarchist state, if there's no law against the crime that
Or
they
public opinion.
Yeah, but as we said, for a crime to have occurred, there has to be a victim. But if it's two consenting
What about
parties,
public opinion?
Well, that's like saying
is there a crime?
But see, that's the thing about it. If I ask you to kill me, I'm consenting to it, and I've signed a contract, you videotape the whole fucking thing, and you ended up murdering me, or killing me, rather, not murdering, killing me, or helping me assist myself in suicide, it still would be considered murder because you carried out an action that a law was against. Or are you talking about
that goes
things
back
that
to Jack Kevorkian?
Right,
not
or
like
are you
euthanasia.
are you talking about?
He's talking euthanasia.
Are you talking about crimes against humanity that have not had laws adjudicated against them?
Right.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, I am talking about. I mean, that can apply too, but
Yes.
being that there is a law in place, if it's two consenting adults having sex with each other, whether they're family or not, is that a crime, considering there is no victim?
Well, it could be in the future.
If there is
It
a
could be
law
in the
against
future.
it,
Yep.
if there is a law against it,
There
then
will be
yes,
a law.
it is a crime.
You know why? Because they'll say in the future they're going to say you don't have the authority to have procreation. You can't have sex because we can't have that happen.
Well,
You have to get a permit to have sex.
Well, the thing of it is that we were talking about the incestual section of this whole thing, and let's focus on that. Okay, two consenting adults. There is a thing against incest in the United States, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes.
Incest is illegal.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
it's a felony up to 1 year in prison, I believe.
Okay, well, check this out. The fact that there's a law in place, okay, even if the adults were consenting and a third party found out about it, it would still be considered to be unlawful because there's a law against it already. Now, you're taking into consideration things that have not been brought into gestation, okay? Like say, bestiality, for instance. There aren't laws against it in certain places, therefore it's kind of a gray area. The only time that there will be a law brought up against something like that is if majority of people rule it in, or if animals learn to fucking talk and they feel like they've been wrong.
Yeah.
And at which point a law will be drawn up about it.
Mr. Ed is definitely going to be a lobbyist.
Right?
Yeah! Beautiful, thank you.
But do you understand what I'm saying? If there is a law against it already and you break that law, yes, you are breaking the law regardless of whether you're consenting or not. But because, say an owner of a bank says, I want you to rob my bank, okay? And you consent to that, and you get caught, and you take it to court. The owner told me to rob his bank, and everything is even brought out saying that he did tell you to do that, and it was a conspiracy or whatever in that sense. You're still under United States law that states you are not allowed to commit robbery or theft of any kind.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to take something that does not belong to you.
Yeah. Well, at which point, in regards to that, you are correct. However,
the reason being, and I'm sorry to cut you off one more time, the reason being is because it's not necessarily the bank owner's money, it's the people who put their money in the banks.
Depositors.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was going to bring up. Thank you for being the punch on that. But as far as like two consenting parties having sex, it would simply be argued that their rights of sexual freedom are being infringed upon, just like
as long as it's in a bedroom.
Because it's not affecting anybody else.
You can't have public sex in an arena, right?
But you can, but you got to get permits and all that shit.
But here's the thing. I see what you're getting at. Two consenting adults, whether there's a law against it or not, it still doesn't matter because there's a law against it. It would make it illegal. Okay, until these people who are incestual come forth and lobby for their rights, and that law has been repealed.
Yeah.
Only then will it be considered legal.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going with it. What do you got, Chris?
Oh, well, I just want to point out the lobby issue is essentially the key, I think, to this whole topic, because and completely across the board, systematically, because there's a group. I don't know if I should mention them, but there was a sting operation that's uncovered, which it's happened multiple times, but it is documented. We can get the footage. This organization is over maybe 300 years old. And this is how lobby works. Lobby works. Money goes and meets opportunity. So a legislator wants to write a law. He doesn't know what it is. Lobby tells him write the law. They give him money. Deal. That's completely fraud. It's and breaks so many laws. It's unbelievable. But that's how our system has worked.
That sounds exactly like what Obama does in the middle of the night while we're all sleeping, signing executive order. It's a matter of power and extortion and power and bribery,
abuse.
Yeah.
Impeachable offense.
And that happens a lot. But regardless of how it happens, if in the likely event that it does happen, considering these things are growing in such popularity,
what happens?
The sexual taboos.
I just have one more point about the lobby. It's not you can create a lot of funding and go lobby, but these people are the system completely entrenched in the lobby, meaning if you decide to create a lobby and war against their lobby, you're going to go down, hands down. The system, gentlemen, is the system empowers the lobby.
Who has the most money.
Essentially, quintessentially, I would tell you that your topic right now is so vital in our country, in our moral obligation, our family foundation, that it needs to be addressed and brought out into the consensus of what people understand and what's going on, because what you're doing now is actually educating with the awareness that you empower. Without knowledge we starve. So essentially what you can do right now, ask not what you can do, ask not
what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
So call upon the Americans today and ask them to be aware of this and to challenge their people, their superiors, write their congressmen, write their senators. We got Trump and possibly coming into office. We have a chance to make change.
I'm not necessarily for legalization of these taboos. So
no, I don't say you are.
It sounded like you were insinuating that we should come out and say, hey, if you guys want
I'm saying awareness against it.
Yeah,
I'm saying an advocacy against it with the proper form, because it's a loose cannon. You have to have precision definition in what you want to do in legislation, especially in the lobby power. And you want to attract the corporate powers that be. You can shame them. Look at so many examples of people being blown off the air because they did something because of corporate fear. If you want to have the ultimate power of legislative power, it's in your hands. It's in the people's hands behind that camera. They have the legislative power to your show. People that bring awareness to the masses that are effectually will. One person can talk to 10 people, 6 degrees of separation. And that's all I'm just trying to help here. I just really I support these two guys. Their topic right now is so phenomenal. It's amazing. He's horny, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, being that you brought up that, my question would have to be, being that it's becoming so socially acceptable, just gradually more and more over time. Wow. Being that it's becoming more and more socially acceptable.
Got my heroin.
Nice. Being that it's becoming more and more socially acceptable, and it can be argued for legal rights issues. Do you think, being that, at least in the regard of consensual incest, being that there is, quote, no victim involved, should it be legalized?
Well, what I would say to that is, if you study psychotherapy and psychology, incest in the home, 80% of incest in the home is understood by the family unit, and the wife, if it's a daughter being sacrificed to the husband, it's known. It's an economic decision.
I have a problem with the whole fact of it being legalized only because a child. Okay. Are we talking about children or adults here?
We are talking about consenting adults.
So, of what age though? Because I mean, you got
the age of 18 to. As far as the law states now, the age of consent for sexual acts is 16. The legal age to marry, 18.
So we'll just call it 18.
In some states.
We'll just call it 18.
Yeah, that's not true.
As far as the legal system now is.
States have different laws.
If incest...
There are different states. 16 is legal.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I do know that. Like I said, in regards to the law, the way it is now, as far as it being two consenting parties, two consenting adults.
For sex.
Would
it's
it
16?
Where does the incest come in?
Would it be wrong to legalize
incest
in that regard? I'm not saying having sex with
so you could say, I want to screw my sister.
12-year-old or younger daughter.
I'm 18, but I want to fuck my sister. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, providing she is of the legal age of
right.
consent.
She's 19, 18.
Yeah, would
that's
that,
against the law in marriage? It is because you can't have the bloodline first. That's too close. Even first cousins is illegal.
Yeah, but I'm saying if it was
legal, hypothetically speaking, it was legal.
Should it be something that's...
Yeah, should it be something that's legal based on consent and not of what outsiders may think of
baby,
taboo.
You like to throw a curveball, don't you?
Well,
I mean,
if I don't throw it, somebody else will. These are issues that
I love you,
will
man.
bring
You're right
up.
about this because
These
if you
people
really listen, folks, what he's saying, if you really look into what he's saying, it's very deep, and I would say it's realistically feasible and probably based on what people want, the majority crowd mentality. We're overturning religion. We're overturning rules and regulations.
Yeah.
And basically, whatever you want to do, as long as you pay for it, you're not hurting, killing somebody, causing, government insurrection. I could see it happening.
Yeah.
Well, I personally don't see it happening only because there's a law in effect denying it already, and just because two consenting
adults... But it could be
adults,
overturned.
Yeah, it could, provided enough people get together.
They did the pot laws.
Yeah, there was once a law not that long ago that prohibited homosexuals from getting married. There was once a law prohibiting interracial relationships.
Right.
And over the course of time,
civil
those
rights.
two have been...
And like I said, provided enough people...
Well, look at what they did.
Stand up for the rights. Provided enough people stand up for the rights.
But didn't the system overturn the 904 law in California about
Proposition
medical
8.
marijuana? The people voted it in. The government now.
Yeah, they did.
You mean the 420?
So and this is another dynamic, gentlemen.
And then they overturned the...
That's what I'm getting at. Provided enough... I'm trying to finish my statement here.
Yes.
Provided enough people come forward...
But it's the government, too.
Yeah.
It's not the government. The people run the government.
No, they don't.
Provided enough people come through and petition for their right to have incestual relationships, only then will the law be repealed. Until that happens... There is a law in effect that states that we are not allowed to have incestual relations at all.
Okay,
just like the proposition you were talking about, Chris, with the medical marijuana thing.
You have to understand the fact is the government overrode the people. So I'm sorry to tell you this, but
they did do
not
that.
Correct about this. My point, and it's a new dynamic going on here. The people, you're right about that. But the government went right in and said a judge ruled from the bench. From the bench and said no.
And it also happened with Prop 8. The people said no to by majority to homosexual marriage be legalized, and then the
That's
Congress and the courts overturned those rulings, and now it's
paramount.
That's
even
legal.
bigger than what we're talking about.
Yeah, so it stands to reason that even if enough people come out, it could still
matter.
be
We are not the government.
opposed by the majority, but eventually made
That's a
legal
republic
by the
you
United
talked
States government.
Yeah,
You're talking about a republic. We're a democracy, different from a republic.
I know. We
are
started out as a republic.
Practicing, we have to go back to, in order to do what you want to do, the people in control of the government is a republic.
Yeah.
Right. We started out as a republic. We
didn't evolve. We were hijacked.
The coin flipped over.
Yeah, whatever the case may be. Whatever the case may be.
Okay.
It was hated like communism. You go back 30s, 40s, and 50s, you study communism and democracy were equally hated. Fact.
Well,
check it out.
That's a question that begs to be asked. Being that the government and the courts have overturned the will of the people on both the weed issue and the Prop 8 gay marriage issue.
That's democracy.
Doesn't it stand to reason that even if the majority of
but it's not democracy.
This is the topic essential.
But it's not democracy, and I'm sorry to cut you off, dude. It's not democracy if you're voting something and it's overturned anyway.
No, there are two systems. One hijacked our system. We are still a republic, barely.
We are a republic being raped by democracy.
What is the definition of a republic and a democracy? Go.
Democracy is things that are voted in, and
it's elections only.
Yeah, elections. That's what I mean. Things that are voted in.
Do you know what a republic is? They are in control of the government. They tell the government.
Right. Yeah. They tell who they want in power. So
which one do we want?
Bottom line is the democracy, the government makes the final decision. The republic, the people make the final decision.
That's right.
Correct?
Right. The two different, and we are not. We are hijacked. We need to go back to republic to prove the whole point of this whole topic. If right now, your topic about this whole issue about gay marriage, everything we're discussing right now, as a republic, it would never have happened.
Yeah.
Never.
It wouldn't have.
So in a democracy, it will.
Yeah.
And get worse, dictatorship.
So the question bears to be asked. If even the people come out and say, hey, we want incest, and the vast majority vote no on it, will the government overturn that ruling?
See,
and
that's
make it
exactly
that's what I was getting at.
Okay,
we were on the same page. You just thought I was saying something different.
No. We not really. The point is, what we're talking about is the fact that the U.S. Supreme Court ruled recently on a just huge level about several different things that were so controversial about marriage being between a man and a woman.
Yeah.
Okay, they were bought off.
Well,
based on a democracy. So what we're talking about is republic is what we essentially need to answer the whole question is we need to get rid of democracy and go back to the republic, period.
Okay, so to answer my question...
And every American make this happen. You know why? Another point I want to make? We are not sovereign American citizens because we became a democracy in 1789.
Okay.
1776, we were sovereign. In 1789, no more. We want to go back to the republic. We need to be sovereign American citizens, meaning you're not a corporation. I'm not a city, a state, United States of America corporation, but we individually are corporations, not because we have a federal tax ID number called Social Security
number. Yes, everybody knows that.
That's democracy.
Yeah,
not republic.
And that's a debate we can have another time too. You know, a democracy versus a republic. That's actually a good debate idea. We'll do that next week. But to answer the question, Chris, you think that even if the vast majority of people were to vote no, provided they went to a vote, provided the people voted no, that the government would overturn that and legalize it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, because to feed the democracy voting central of overwhelming, it's okay. It used to say a minority was the people we defended.
Yeah.
The majority rules. What happened to the minority? Well, the minority is based on a republic.
The
minority
Republican
is
trolls
the new
the government
majority.
and says,
Yeah.
we care about the minority. It's a subdiffusion, and you're right. It will be, like commerce, business, the political, we have a culture war. The culture war is this. It's lobby power. You don't get your way in court what's right and wrong, and then what's right and wrong. If you go to legal, what's right and wrong, in the law, if you study the law in general, there is no right and wrong. It's the law. Well, so if you say his point, he's talking on a moral level, what's good for society even, and he's saying, well, if we voted against it and we keep our status quo on that, how long before they vote it and change it, or the next election based on the power of the masses crowd mentality?
And that's a distinct possibility. That these are questions that bear answering. And I bring
now
up
you're
these
talking
questions
trend.
because I bring up these questions because
I mean, it's good.
these are questions that will be asked
Absolutely.
when these issues arrive.
But what you're saying is you're talking about a trend rather than a foundation. A government's a foundation. Now we've changed our government into a Nielsen rating.
We have.
That's quintessentially, case in point. It doesn't matter what the law is. It doesn't matter what you voted for. It's based on Nielsen rating.
It is. But switching points here, we covered the legal aspect of everything. Chris brought up earlier the aspect of religion. Now, the LDS have already openly accepted the gays to attend their congregation.
To a certain extent. Please add that at the end of your statement.
Yeah, there are provisions. And even the Southern Baptists are forming homosexual-based churches. Sorry, the alcohol's starting to take effect. That wine with the alcohol. Woo!
Back on topic, please.
Back on topic.
You're fine.
Being that they are going to the level of acceptance of homosexuality, will that be the same?
Homosexuality?
Yeah. Being that they have gone this route with homosexuality, would they then be accepting of incest and bestiality and what other taboos get legalized down the line?
I think whether it's socially acceptable or not is irrelevant based on the discussion you guys just had. They're gonna do what they're gonna do.
It's rhetorical.
So,
that's a rhetorical question. Sorry, Mr.
So
Wilson.
will these churches will inevitably
Yes, they will. They'll cave. Absolutely.
They would have to because the Bible says you have to accept the laws of the land.
Okay, let's be Bill Maher for a minute. They will, let's face it, they're going to do more pageantry to please the masses. They'll make it a bigger production show. They'll suffice this group, that group, but it's going to be palatable because everybody's going to win.
Okay. Now,
right?
As you pointed out with the LDS Church, Patrick, there are provisions to allowing people into the church. They can't be excommunicated or anything like that, but they're not allowed to be sealed in the temple.
They're allowed to attend church. They're not allowed to be baptized. They're not allowed to be sealed in the temple. And if they do not go to church, but their adopted quote-unquote children want to go to church, they have to get written consent and send it to Utah and send it to the state presidency, submit it to the bishop, under which an investigation happens. They send elders out to the house. They investigate the people to make sure it's a consensual thing for their child to attend church so that there's no legal issues. Yeah. And if the parents deny their children permission to go to an LDS church based on these principles, then they cannot be allowed to go into church
until they're
18 and can make that own decision on their own. At which point, if they die before they're 18, they have to wait 150 years or something like that to be baptized for the dead to be saved.
Unless there is another family member who
will do their work for them.
Who will do the work for them.
Well, there wouldn't be if they were adopted and into a gay couple's home.
Oh,
Yeah, but
Right,
if another family member of that couple happened to be LDS, they could actually do the temple work with parents' consent.
Right, but provided, I mean, with the way that LDS members think of the gay community, and I'm not saying that every single person thinks badly on them, because they don't. But what I'm saying is that provided with the way things were and the way things are now, and it's a new thing. Let's say something happened tomorrow with a couple that adopted and they ended up dying, and because their family doesn't mean they're accepted,
Yeah.
and that could be a problem too. So, and it doesn't have to be an immediate family member that does temple work for them, unless, because listen, you were saying that your mom's temple work was done by your uncle, correct?
Yeah, my cousin Timothy.
Right, but he had to come to you for permission because you were next of kin.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I was the closest living relative.
Now listen to me when I say this. LDS would have to get permission from the gay couple to do their temple work, at which point, if they were denied the temple work, they have to wait until those people pass away or 150 years to do their baptism for the dead, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so those are the things that are the new effects as far as gay community rights in the church are concerned.
Yeah.
And it's all about legalities, people.
Well,
That's all it's
do
about.
you think that given the legalities and the accommodations of law,
it has nothing to do with moral.
No,
morality.
It has to do with legalities.
Yeah,
They don't want the church to be implicated in any way or lawsuits drawn up against them because of the people that are coming forth with even the Christian churches. They're suing Christian churches for not marrying them, for not baking cakes for them,
Right.
because they're Christian based and they don't believe in
Absolutely.
it.
Do you think that
extremely
will
well
eventually change
Well put.
within the Christian community, not just the LDS, but and numerous religions as well, that they would even become accepting of
incestual?
Well, what about Scientology?
not just any taboo, starting with homosexuality.
Well,
Do you think these these churches' standpoints would eventually change?
What about
they allow
Scientology?
baptisms and marriages to take place?
I don't think that, because if they believe in their religion a certain way today, they have to believe in it that way tomorrow. The only thing that they're going to be accepting of is the legalities of the land. That's it. And the only reason they have to do that is because it says it in the Bible.
What about Scientology?
I do not know what Scientology's standpoints are on this.
Neither do I. I don't even know what Scientology is.
I have not read their volumes on.
Well, because they would be a big influence. They would be.
Yeah, they don't have a Bible. They actually have a series of writings.
Right. They're called volumes, not volumes.
Volumes? I want drugs!
Apparently. Can you hand me the stuff, please?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I'm sure people like the Muslim community would probably be a little more hesitant, whereas the Christian community, especially the Baptists and the LDS, are becoming a little more accepting, especially the Baptists opening up these congregations specifically for homosexuals. Yeah.
Homosexuals.
This is what happens when you get me drunk.
Drunk? You had one beer.
I've been drinking since earlier.
Oh.
I saw him downing a fifth of vodka.
You said you wouldn't tell! Bastard!
He's homosexual.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at here, nobody's gonna take me seriously. I'm fucking wasted. I'm fucking wasted. This is worse than that time I had that buzzball in the early days of the weekly report.
Oh, at the old house?
Yeah, that shit was funny though. We gotta watch that.
That's only because I didn't want my buzzball and Destiny didn't like the way hers tasted, so we gave them both to you. And you drank them both.
Oh my god. That's funny.
Buzzballs. One buzzball will get you fucking buzzed.
Oh.
That's why they call it a buzzball.
Yeah,
and me being a lightweight, I just get fucked up.
And he got messed up, man. He took a like a mudslide buzzball and an apple buzzball.
Whoa.
And drank them.
Apple and mudslide. That's pretty cool.
They were good.
Chocolate covered apples.
Cool. They were good. I enjoyed them. The fact of the matter is, I'm a lightweight.
I'll drink to that.
But in all seriousness, do you think, considering the church as far as Christianity is concerned, is becoming more and more lenient.
Yes.
Too
They're
lenient.
bending.
It will eventually come to the point
Can
where
I
they'll
say
be able
this?
to be baptized, get married.
Wait a minute.
I don't think so.
Can I say
Maybe
this?
the Christian church.
Ask yourself the question. Why would they increasingly bend? Why do they have to bend? What's the point of that? Why do they have to bend?
They don't. He's just saying hypothetically.
No, but I know what you're saying, but my point is this. They bend because they have to. You know why? They have to keep the ball going. They don't care about anything. They just want to cha-ching the church.
And see, I just had a discussion with a family member of mine on Joel Osteen, and I'm sorry to bring that cocksucker up, but there was a meme on Facebook that showed him in his private jet, and this family member of mine is like, well, you wouldn't be saying that if you saw some of his talks or read some of his books. I said, motherfucker, listen. This cocksucker charges people to come into his talks and charges people to buy his books. Don't give me that whole he's doing God's work thing so he's being rewarded. No, he's just happens to be this phenomenal guy that has a way with words to make you believe and you get sucked in. Okay, so you pay between $35 and $750 a ticket to go to a Joel Osteen talk.
And all of his
There's
shit
so
is
many
on,
of them like that.
And if you want to say that he's doing God's work and
Jim
that,
Jones was a classic.
and I hate to keep on with this guy because I'm just gonna stop after this. But if you're saying that he's doing God's work and he's being rewarded for that, how come his money is being spent on multi-million-dollar mansions and private jets instead of expanding God's fucking kingdom? Fuck you, Joel
Because he's
Osteen.
laughing all the way down the road going,
not only that, but he doesn't even really talk about Jesus.
No.
Hardly at all.
No.
He doesn't talk about repentance
No.
or the gift of salvation or any of that.
He's
He
charismania.
focused mostly on
Charismania.
God will bless you
It's
and
an
you will
old
be
movement.
prosperous in this world.
That's right. Oh, Lord, won't you buy
that is
me
the focus of
a
his thing. He's an inspirational
Mercedes-Benz?
speaker.
That's what I'm saying.
That's all he
want
is.
my Mercedes-Benz, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's name it and claim it.
Yeah, he's a fucking fake. Just
You
like
too.
the Trinity
It's Jimmy
Broadcasting
Boo.
Network, man.
Jimmy
They're
Boo
all
and make
fucking
your millions
phonies.
in real
How many
estate.
of those motherfuckers from the Trinity Broadcasting Network have been locked up for this for one reason or another?
True.
All of them.
All of them, man. And people wonder why Christianity's approval rating has gone down the toilet because the people that are in the limelight representing Christianity are fucking up.
The only ones that I could say that
No,
are
they
in the
purposely
limelight,
did.
the only ones that I could say that are in the limelight that do truly believe in God and Jesus, and you can see it through their lives and their works, is the Cameron family, the Kirk Cameron and his sister, and they have made movies. They are wealthy,
Yes.
but they believe in God.
Right. See, I think
and you can see it through their works and their movies are very inspirational.
Absolutely. I pushed out of the whole scene to do what Jesus did. Purely simple. That's it. End of case story.
You know what?
Done. If you do what Jesus said, we'd have a utopian world.
You know what? I want to...
Not religion. Not this. Not that. Just what he did. He was a rabbi. He was God.
Yeah, he's
Controversially to some people, but I believe it. I know it. But the point is, if you still follow what he says, like a motivational coach, just simply follow what he said he did.
Well,
Come on.
Here's an idea. I want to do
And
this.
here's the thing on Joel Osteen, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm going to let you talk in 1 second, dude. I promise. But, Jesus said, lay down your worldly possessions and follow me. Yet Joel Osteen is buying worldly possessions and saying and not preaching the word of God. Like you said, he's an inspirational speaker. God didn't say Jesus said, lay down your worldly possessions and follow me. He didn't say buy a multi-million-dollar mansion and charge admission to hear people speak about my word.
L. Ron Hubbard in 1947 was quoted, "The quickest way to become a multimillionaire in the United States of America is to form a new religion."
Right.
But you have to get people to believe in that religion, and you have to have...
You got TV.
The Flying Spaghetti Monster, for Christ's sake, dude.
Yeah, but how many members are in that church, really?
I don't know. We gotta look up the statistics on that, but I'm sure there's quite a few, considering they were able to organize themselves as a religion. You gotta have a certain number of followers.
The only way that you need to have a religion is if you make it up. That's the only way. You don't have to have a certain amount of followers or nothing. If you believe in something, that's your religion. That's your beliefs. That's your belief system. If you had one follower, you can organize a religion. I mean, one follower, 1 million followers, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, still, I think we should look at the statistics of it. But one thing I would like to do is, I would like to see if maybe I could get the bishop to get on camera here and maybe talk about this issue of where the church might wind up going with this. Ask him those same questions. Even, especially if the Jehovah's Witnesses come back, freaking get some of them to sit down and maybe do an interview. See what the Watchtower Society and Jehovah's Witness Church has to say on these issues and where it's going to go with
I'd
it.
hate to destroy them publicly.
Oh, I know, but still, they do have a belief system. They are an organized church.
Kinda.
And they have the right to believe and worship what they will, the same as you and I do. And it would be interesting to hear the Jehovah's Witnesses input, where they currently stand with this and where they potentially will stand with this. The same with LDS.
Well, back to subject here. I know we're running over a little bit here, folks. We're on an hour and 17 minutes.
Yeah, this is the longest debate we've ever had.
But back to subject here on the taboo thing. I wasn't able to get a word in edgewise with Chris here. I think that the only way churches are going to make that acceptable is if some doctrine somewhere down the line is released from the Vatican. We've talked about this a billion times too, where it says that incest is okay, homosexual marriage is okay, and that's the only way they're going to allow, that type of movement.
I just thought of something.
What's that?
The LDS Church believes that we are all the literal sons and daughters of God. At which point, we are all theoretically committing incest already.
If that's the case.
Yeah, if that's the case, we are all theoretically committing incest anyway. So, would that law essentially have to become void at some point?
Yeah, because, if you took it to that standpoint, yes, it would have to be. Because, like you said, LDS believe that we are all literal sons and daughters of God to begin with, so incest at that point is inevitable. If you took it that way. But I think there has to be so many generations between family members in order for it not to be incestual anymore. And I think that's the reason why they allowed, or God allowed, second cousins is a kind of a gray area legally. But why they allowed Adam to procreate, with his daughters. That woman in her lifetime could not have bared 52 children. There's no way.
No.
There's no way.
And even so, they'd still.
She would have had to have had. She would have had to have had children into her hundreds.
Yep.
Well into her hundreds.
The parents would have had to have sex with the kids. The kids had sex with each other, so on and so forth. Even with Noah, it'd be the same case. They'd all have to breed with each other to repopulate the earth.
Right. So, incest was actually in the Bible. So, let's take it to that standpoint.
Well, wasn't there an incident where, 2 or 3 daughters went to get knocked up, so they raped their sleepy father and got pregnant?
I don't remember that.
It's an Old Testament story. It's early in the Old Testament. I believe it may have been. I forget the names, but it's an early Old Testament story.
Yes, and they raped their father.
Yeah, he was passed out drunk, and they got him drunk.
They got him drunk.
And they wrote him till...
They wanted to have his seed.
Yeah.
To please God. I believe.
And on that note, this is your weekly report.
Religion is so subjective.
Which is why I do not subscribe to any mainstream religious institution.
Well, even the
God-
Bible itself is subjective.
right.
God dwells in here.
That's what I say.
God dwells
The
in
Bible
here.
is subjective, so I think at some point
The Bible
There-
is so
this is
loose. in
definitely gonna become an
interpretation,
issue.
It's unbelievable. The Bible is loose. The original Aramaic, the Hebrew, the Latin.
You just say the Bible is loose.
It's very loose. It's sexy loose. It's got everything: murder, crime. You know, it's the ultimate
rape,
movie.
incest,
It's got it all.
homosexuality.
I
It's
think
got. It covers everything.
every guy wants to be King David so they can have 1,000 concubines.
Yeah, see, I have a problem with that
I've heard
because
so many pastors go, yeah,
I have a problem with that because I have enough
I
of
screwed
a hard
so many of
time
our sisters
satisfying
in the church.
one woman. Can you imagine doing multiple? I mean, sexually it would be
That's
fine.
my standpoint.
Sexually it would be fine, but like aesthetically and emotionally, oh, dude, it would be a fucking nightmare. Dude, that is not. Dude, I don't want to wake up to 75 virgins. Okay, I don't.
Thank you.
Aren't there more?
Dude, one's enough.
Right.
One is enough. Thank you very much.
Are there any other points that we could bring up with this topic?
Well, you've covered so much. Well, let's see.
I think there's an
How do you
infinite
fight
amount
it?
of.
How do you fight it? It's crowd mentality. It's a system rigged against us through democracy.
Yeah.
If we go back to republic, that's the whole point.
Now, is that an advocation stand for incest or against?
We
I'm
would
curious.
have to lobby to have a republic to control the government to stop shit like this.
Okay. Well, I think
Because it's not. You know what? Then the next thing, it's your what? Your dog, your horse, your. What else? Where does it go? Okay, I need to have 20 slaves,
Excuse me, I need to go take care of my horse, baby.
and then we're gonna have robotics. Bring the drones into this. Hey,
So, like, where'd you get a centaur?
bring the drones
You
in.
really
If you
want
want to
to know?
if you want to twist a great thing, bring the robotics into it because animatronics will be next.
We already have that. Go to
No, you can have-
Lotions and Lace. You
No,
can
I'm
get a vibrator.
saying you can have like 20 of your sister. You could create these robots that are sex slaves. You could bring that.
Yeah, but
into it.
then that
And
goes
no.
into property. It's like owning a car at that point.
And the British used to think this.
It'd be a glorified vibrator.
Yeah, I would say it would be a glorified
Or a
vibrator,
glorified
too.
pocket pussy.
Right.
Nevertheless,
I think the last question that could possibly be
they
asked.
don't. You know what?
Go ahead. You know what?
Okay,
I'll
I'm going
wait.
to tell you. The bottom line is
Wait a
this:
minute.
they just don't want God. If
Oh.
you bring God into the whole thing, why do you think Xmas?
Yeah.
I want to nip it in the bud. It's God. The
Well-
whole point, your point is this: do we have God or no God?
Well, I think Xmas is just a shortened version of Christmas.
No, but if you remove God out of it, there's no murder. There's no this.
Well, in this day and age, people are falling
Right?
more and more away from God.
if you have no God, what are you worried about?
The afterlife.
Karma?
The afterlife.
And what? Doing good karma, good and bad?
Well, I would do
Okay,
good
now-
anyway, just because it's the
But
right thing
then
to do.
existentialism wipes that out, and you don't have right and wrong anymore.
Well, you do.
A lot of people
How?
these days.
What's good for him is not good for you. If
I
he wants to go
understand that.
kill that guy next door, but you don't think it's good, he's okay. But
I
you're
know, but
not.
it would be in my position and my duty to know what
But
is
I'm
right and
saying,
wrong. Every being
how
on the
can
face of the
anybody-
planet knows what's right and wrong.
My point is, you could go kill somebody and say, "I did it because I had to do it."
Yeah, and right.
Yeah, but
and
that
as
doesn't
discussed-
make it right.
That's not the point. You're missing the point. That's what existentialism means. There's no right and wrong. There's no pure this or this. It's what's good for you.
Right.
But
not
it's
good for him.
still wrong for the other person, which makes it
No, it's not wrong for you, but it's wrong for that person, but not wrong for
What
you.
he's saying
that makes
is-
it legal.
The moral and ethical standards of the individual are left up to the individual. It's
Not
subjective.
God.
What is right for one person
10 Commandments.
is subjective to another. Like some
10
people
Commandments.
do believe in God, but they don't believe in
What
the
is God?
atonement.
God is, in our world, 10 Commandments is God.
Yeah, they don't.
kinda.
They believe in God and believe that
Am I right?
if they are a good person, at least by their own
But
standards,
if you
that
rule
they'll
by
get into
10
heaven.
if you rule by 10 Commandments, isn't that God?
Yeah, it is, but a lot.
Well,
like you were
it's
saying,
the way God prefers us to live. It's not
Standard-
God.
No, that's
Standards
God's
are
law.
individual
That's why I
standards
said
are
it's not God
subjective.
himself. You're saying, is that God? No,
it's God's law for us. We're the creation of God.
Right, it's God's law, but not God himself. You were saying, is that
Yes,
God?
it is the same. It's synonymous. One and one. It's the same.
I don't think so.
It doesn't matter whether you think so, but that's what it is.
See now you're saying what you say is right and what I say
No,
is wrong.
I'm saying what religion is based on, what godly principles is. Every Christian Judeo belief is 10 Commandments. The Mormon Church is all based on 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
No, not really.
Abs, is that right?
The Christian Church is
The 10 Commandments
to be
is the whole everything.
To be a Christian, whether you're Mormon, Catholic, or
It's
whatever.
not, it has nothing to do with Christianity. The 10 Commandments is set by God on the tablets.
It's the
God,
basis. It's the foundation
it's
of the
the
law.
foundation.
It's the foundation
of all
of God's
Christian
law
Judeo.
in which all Christians are subject
That's
to.
the
right.
law, but not
It's
the
God's
church,
law.
I
He
understand
wrote
that.
it with his fucking finger.
I understand that.
Yeah,
but
well,
that
Why
doesn't-
are
that
you
doesn't-
arguing it?
No, fucking really, dude?
No, really, because when I'm,
Both of y'all shut up.
he's missing the point.
Both of y'all shut
He
up.
thinks it's not God, and it is.
I think this is what is going on here. You're talking about God. We're confusing God with religion here. Religion is subjective,
I'm not talking
and
religion.
their own standards. They set their own
Orthodoxy.
standards. Yeah, they orthodox their own standards, whether they fit with God's law or not.
Right.
And you're saying that God's law is absolute.
It is.
And I agree with that.
Okay.
That's what the 10 Commandments is.
But you guys are essentially...
The 10 Commandments is God's law and God's word, not God himself.
Tell me
Again, you two
something
dipshits
else.
are on the same page, but are in conflict.
I know what you see. He's not misunderstanding me. I'm saying that the quintessential foundation, the nucleus of all nucleus, is the 10 Commandments.
Yes.
So
the law which we base our religious
We
around.
didn't make that up. God made that up.
Agreed.
That's God's law, not our law.
Agreed.
That's not religion,
Agreed.
which is man-made.
Agreed.
Here we go.
Okay, I agree with you.
Right.
Good, I'm glad you guys shut up because I was about to whack you both with this
But I'm
subbitch.
just...
I've got the 10 Commandments right here. I will whack you both.
I already read it.
I will whack you both with
I
this
already read it.
subbitch.
I mean, I saw that already. Your plot.
We're out of alcohol. That's a problem.
That's the problem. But the point is, the foundation is the whole point they're trying to destroy.
I know, but you can't destroy God's word. That's the thing about it, and that's
You
what
can't,
I'm
but
telling you.
that's in our society of civilization. Yes, they can.
No,
because the law of the land is different
That's
than
what
God's law.
if we lived in communist Russia right now, and let's say back in the day, they'd take you right now. Somebody would have already knocked on you, and you'd be in Siberia right now, dying in the wilderness out in the middle of nowhere.
Agreed.
And Nazi Germany did it as well.
Here, this is not a 3D production.
Yeah, here's what it is. God's law is forever standing, but humanity
If you
has
believe it.
Yeah, humanity has the choice whether or not to
Free
accept it or ignore it. And
That's
it's
right.
not that they will be destroying God's law, it's the fact that they will be ignoring God's law.
If you come back to the wilderness of the children of Israel, they elected a king over God. The Israelis elected a king over God.
They did.
And that pissed God off.
And look what happened.
Right. That's why they sit on rocks watching caves.
His point in case right there, I just gave it to you.
Yeah. Man will have that choice to accept or
We have a
ignore
free
God's
will.
law. God's law
Right.
is forever standing, but people have the right to accept or ignore it. Just
There
like
it
we
is.
have the right to accept or ignore secular laws. And there will be consequences, whether in this life or in the life hereafter.
What I thought,
That's-
and let me clarify something, Chris. What I thought you were getting at was this, and let me finish my thought before you interject, because it is definitely a point that needs to be made. Is that I've been having a debate with Mormon missionaries, and sorry folks, but I've been having a debate with Mormon missionaries whether they believe that Jesus is God or whether they believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and that's what I thought you were getting at with. The 10 Commandments is God. No, the 10 Commandments is
Understandable.
God's law and God's word.
Right.
That's why you were like, no, dude, no. You were arguing with me on a point that I was trying to make. And then I was like, well, really?
I was cutting beyond it.
Okay, yeah, no, I get that. And
I
we
went
agree.
around it.
We agree on
That's
the same
all.
points.
Absolutely.
We do agree.
Of
and,
course.
And it was just diluted at the time. I thought you were
No,
saying
I just
something
went
else.
around it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought you were saying
I
something
went
else.
right to the target.
Well, we are at an hour and a half now, and I think we've pretty much gone as far as we can with this debate without getting into other secular topics.
It's
So-
a fabulous debate, though.
It is. It was great.
We could probably talk on the rest of the evening.
Everything that was
probably
shared
could.
here, it's going to cause everybody, I would hope, to really think about and review this tape. I would challenge you to watch this again over and over. There's a lot of information here.
Yeah,
It really needs to
regardless
be
of where you stand
examined.
on the issue.
Right.
And everybody here is fabulous.
Yeah, and I encourage everybody to really get involved in this discussion. Throw out your opinions and points of view, not only on where you stand with these things potentially becoming legalized, but other points that would potentially lead to its legalization and social acceptance,
or
society,
taking it out of society and its social acceptance and legalization.
Exactly. Yeah,
and just like our little bit of a heated,
all avenues.
And just this little bit of a heated debate here is what you're going to do in your circles.
Right.
Definitely. Because
people and just so that we're all on the same page,
it's healthy.
Just so that we're all on the same page here too, Mr. Cardello, is that this is how me and Chris would argue when we first started. It's just like that. I'd be like, "Fucking really?" Like we would get real heated.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
But
we got back to basics on the first broadcast of the year.
Right.
Happy New Year.
Yep. Happy New Year. We got back to our roots.
It's true.
But
these guys are amazing.
But on that note, guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
They are.
So, Chris Cardello, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm the Tin Man.
And I'm Lucid.
And this has been your weekly report. If you're watching this, you are the Resistance. Peace.
Deuces.